Hi there guys, so I recently posted a video about my VFC HK416 A5 gas blowback rifle. I also posted a video about how I solved my bolt lock issues. On those videos, I received a few comments of people asking me if I've had any other issues with these guns. In this video, I'm going to break down all the trouble I've ever had with my VFC HK416 A5 and my VFC HK416D. Then I'm going to tell you whether I think you should or should not buy a VFC as your next platform, or whether you should or should not use a gas blowback rifle as your next platform. So this is my VFC HK416 A5 gas blowback rifle, and this is my VFC HK416D gas blowback rifle. So the first issue that I had with my VFC HK416 A5 gas blowback rifle was accuracy issues. The groupings are pretty tight for the A5 to a distance of about 40 to 50 meters, but I wanted a tighter grouping for more precise shots. So I sent my A5 into the Maple Leaf factory here in Taiwan to get an upgraded barrel. I upgraded the barrel from a 285mm 6.3 width barrel to a 285mm 6.2 width barrel. This tightened up the grouping and gave me a more accurate shot at about 50 meters. So for my VFC HK416D gas blowback rifle, which I bought used from a teammate, he had upgraded the inner barrel from the standard 285mm 6.3mm barrel to a 370mm 6.2mm barrel. The increase in barrel length and decrease in barrel width has increased the accuracy substantially on this platform. The groupings sit at about a fist's width at about 80 to 90 meters. I love my gun. It's an absolute pleasure to use over long distances during gameplay. So although I wouldn't consider this upgrade an issue on VFC's behalf, I would tell you that if you did buy a VFC platform, you could consider upgrading the inner barrel, the Hopup unit, and the Hopup Rubber. The reason for this is that companies who specialize in producing inner barrels, Hopup units, and Hopup Rubbers are always going to produce a higher performance product than companies that don't specialize in those certain parts. So although I wouldn't consider this an issue, it was the first reason I had to take my gun into a factory, have something upgraded, and have it returned back to me. The second issue that I had with my gas blowback rifle was during gameplay. I reloaded a new magazine while there was still a BB in the barrel and racked the bolt and double fed 2 BBs into the Hopup Rubber. This tore my Hopup Rubber and rendered my gun absolutely useless for the rest of the day. Fortunately, the team who we were fighting had a gun tech on their team who had Hopup Rubbers in his bag. He was kind enough to remove the barrel, replace the Hopup Rubber, allowing me to continue fighting for that day. Now, Maple Leaf does recommend that you use Maple Leaf Hopup Rubbers with Maple Leaf upgraded barrels. And so, although I was able to play, the gun was not as accurate as it was when it came from the Maple Leaf factory. So, besides having the issue on the day, I had to send my gun in back to Maple Leaf to have them replace the Hopup Rubber and send my gun back to me. So again, although this is not a fault of VFC and it's a fault of my own, this is the sort of issue that you could run into while running a gas blowback rifle. The third issue I ran into with my gas blowback rifle was after a game I sat down and I noticed that my ambidextrous mag release had fallen out. Now, due to the nature of gas blowback rifles having a heavyish recoil, you can regularly expect little grub screws and pins to come loose. A way to get around this is after each game to check that your pins are in position and that your screws are tight. You can also use screw glue to help with this. Things to look out for would be the screws inside, ambidextrous releases, bolt block releases, fire selector pins, and a general service of the gun every now and then to make sure that internal parts are tight is also advised. The fourth issue that I experienced with my gas blowback rifle was an issue with the valve striking pin. After putting somewhat 15,000 rounds through my GBBR over a year, the little spring underneath the valve striking pin got tired, shifted, and the pin was not making contact with the valve on the magazine. This stopped my bolt from cycling, and the BB would drop only a few meters in front of the gun when firing the gun. This is a typical example of wear and tear that takes place on a gas blowback rifle over a couple thousand rounds and maybe the space of a year. Gas blowback rifles have moving parts and springs, and so you should expect to run into these sorts of issues and expect to replace internal parts over time. The fifth issue that I've experienced with my VFC gas blowback rifles is barrel wobble. Now let me show you what barrel wobble is. Between the inner and outer barrel and the rail, if you move the inner barrel and outer barrel, there is a wobble and a tolerance between the rail. There is a tolerance of about 2 to 3 mils. It's not a major issue, but it does exist. It doesn't affect my accuracy, and I have gone to VFC and asked them if there are any brackets that I can add to the inside of the rail to prevent this barrel wobble. Unfortunately, there are no issues for this at the current time being, but as I said, it doesn't affect your accuracy, and so it's not a deal breaker for me. The sixth and final issue that I've experienced with my VFC gas blowback rifles is bolt lock issues. Now, on my 416D, I have absolutely no bolt lock issues. On my 416 A5, I do have bolt lock issues. I made a video talking about this and what I did to solve that problem. So guys, overall, I'm going to give you my opinion on whether or not I think you should buy a VFC gas blowback rifle. So guys, the first 4 issues that I listed: upgrading the barrel, hop-up units, and hop-up rubber for better accuracy, double feeding BBs into the hop-up rubber, replacing the spring under the striking pin, and having to replace the ambidextrous mag selector are all common issues that take place part and parcel with owning a gas blowback rifle. The last issues, issue 5 and issue 6, barrel wobble issues and bolt lock issues, are issues that I attribute to the fault of VFC. So do I think barrel wobble and bolt lock issues are enough reasons for me not to buy a VFC GBBR? Well, as I mentioned, the barrel wobble doesn't affect my accuracy, although it is an annoyance. Bolt lock issues are a problem because when you run out of BBs and the bolt doesn't lock back, you don't know that you're out of ammo and you continue to shoot at people thinking that you have ammo, causing you to either get shot or lose the game. The thing that's confusing about bolt catch issues in VFCs is that not all platforms have bolt catch issues. My VFC 416D has no bolt catch issues. My VFC 416 A5 does have bolt catch issues. When I went to VFC to tell them about the A5's bolt catch issues, they offered me some solutions. Ultimately, it comes down to a problem of spring strength in the magazine, tolerances between the bolt catch in the magazine, the bolt catch in the receiver. If you can tighten those things up and experiment with them, you should be able to solve your bolt catch issues at some point. This is unfortunately a looming issue with the VFC platforms. So do I think you should buy a HK VFC 416D or A5 gas blowback rifle? Well, I think there are some things you really should consider before buying these guns. The first thing is you need to make sure you have access to a good GBBR gun tech that has access to VFC parts in a reasonable amount of time. The next thing that you should make sure is that your VFC gas blowback rifle isn't the only gun that you are running. Don't go out and buy a VFC GBBR and expect it to function perfectly, because if something does break on the gun or you do have any issues and you have to wait for parts to arrive around a month, you will have a month of downtime where you cannot play. So my advice to you would be either have 2 gas blowback rifles or have an AEG platform and a GBBR platform. Just have more than one gun in case one of your guns give issues, and they will. You have a backup gun that you can use while you're waiting to repair the first gun. Remember, these issues are not always due to bad manufacturing. It's just wear and tear that is part of the nature of owning a gas blowback rifle. So in my personal opinion, I think VFC makes some of the most realistic and beautiful looking airsoft guns on the market. With a few upgrades, they are highly accurate and highly effective airsoft weapons. If you have a couple guns lying around, I would highly recommend adding a VFC to your armory. But if it's the first gun you're gonna buy and you're not familiar with gas blowback rifles, you don't have access to parts and a good gun tech that easily, I would be cautious about buying that as your first gun. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. If you found this informative, kindly give me a thumbs up and subscribe to I Am Airsoft for more videos just like this each week. Take care of yourself in these hard times. Until the next one. Cheers, guys.